All right, beautiful souls. I am so excited to dig in today. We've got Chelsea Husam in the house, and this is going to be so much fun. She is a best-selling author, speaker, podcast host, and owns and operates a successful construction company in Denver, Colorado. So she's built a thriving, award-winning company in a male-dominated industry, and her bold and unapologetic approach empowers women to conquer obstacles and emerge stronger than ever. And what I love about her is she shares insights that are about resilience and success, and it's completely unfiltered. So this is going to be a lot of fun as we dig in with Chelsea because that is just her MO is like, I just want to share it for my truth, my unfiltered truth. And I think that's what makes you so unique and so connecting for people is that you just are honest. And I feel like sometimes that's lost in translation when people are putting on a show, if you will. So I'm so grateful that you're here. This is going to be a lot of fun to dig into.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Christina. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
I know this is going to be fun. So I would love to start with, so you have built this incredible business and you created it in this male dominated industry.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, like, what did that take from you to be able to build in that industry, to be able to scale in that industry, succeed in the industry? Like we could even take it three parts or just overarching. What
Yeah.
did that take from you?
Yeah. Well, I will be honest, I had zero plans to own my own company or work in construction. This is kind of just where my life, the twists and turns where it took me. And, I literally remember sitting at my computer Googling how to start a business in Colorado, like the
Yes,
literal
same.
basic things.
Yes.
And I mean, there's nothing fancy about it. It was a lot of Googling. I luckily early on met a lot of women that own construction companies that were very successful. And I became their friend and really just like found these genuine, real women that were willing to share, like, who do you use for insurance? Who's your
Mhm.
banker? Who's this?
Yeah.
Who's that? Do you have a lawyer? This, all those things. And so I really relied heavily on those women, and they were so kind and open and kind of took me under their wing to, give me those tips and things like that. And so that kind of, helped me get going.
Yeah.
And, I remember when I first started the company, clients would call me, I would be so nervous. I'd be like, oh my God, what, I
Yeah.
was so nervous. And now I could do it in my sleep, right?
Totally.
I've grown so much. And really for me, my company has grown very rapidly, and I really attest it to first my employees. I made sure that I hired really good people that know they are experts. I trust them. I know that they know more than I do, and I don't micromanage them. I let them go.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like an art with what we do. And I trust that they know what they're doing. And I'm here to support them when needed. Because if they aren't good, I don't have a company. So that's first and foremost. And then really it's just, with my clients, I show up like what you see is what you get. I'm a hard worker. I care, like this is blood, sweat, and tears. Literally everything is on the
Mhm.
line, right? And
Yeah.
so I truly care and I want to make their lives easier and I want to get to know them as people. And so I think that has helped us grow that people, get to know me. They get to know my employees, and we are a small company, but they don't need to call an 800 number and hope to talk to somebody, the 50th person they've talked to. They're like they get to know me, I get to know them, and that really we've grown word of mouth and referrals like in such a huge way. And so I'm really grateful that they've seen, they see who we are and they love it.
Mm. I love this. So I'm hearing like connection, trust, letting people just be in their gifts and letting
Yes.
them like really excel at the things that they do best and you
Yep.
excelling at the things that you do best. And what I love too is, you know, being a female in this, male dominated industry, it sounds like
Mhm.
that was one of the things that was like a catalyst for your success because you were tapping into other women who like that's kind of like so much of what we do is we want to connect, we want to communicate, we want to support other women, at least healed women. That's kind of the
Yep.
experience. So I just absolutely love that being a woman, it sounds like it became kind of like that superpower of being like, actually, this like allows me to really do what I do best. And I'm connecting with other women that are in a space that are supporting me in that journey. That is one of the fast tracks to building any successful business is let me talk to someone who's open to share what they did to
Yeah.
into their next version of success.
Yeah. And I think too, maybe just being a woman. Like I'm just showing up as myself, as a leader, as the owner of this. But one of my employees used to say, Chelsea, you're the best boss I never had. He's like, people don't people never cared about us, about the guys in the field. They all the, they've worked, my employees have worked for all the big companies and typically had male bosses. And he's like, they didn't care about us. Like they didn't act like we mattered in the field. But he's like, you do. And they appreciate it. And they say that to me. And it's not like I'm trying to show up differently, but that's maybe just being a woman. Maybe we show up differently in the world, right? We maybe care. We show that we care in maybe different ways. So that was really cool to hear that my male employees appreciated how I approached it all.
Mm-hmm. I just want to give a shout out to men because it's like it's so funny. Sometimes I will say like the simplest thing to like my husband and he'll be like, that's the kindest thing anyone's ever said to me. And I'm like, has no one acknowledged you
Oh,
as a man? Like, because it's like,
yeah.
think about like men, it's just kind of like you're strong, get out there, be the
Yeah.
leader, be the provider. And it's like, if we could like just take a minute to acknowledge everyone, not just men, but men, women, everyone, but like,
Yes.
let's not forget about the men too, because I'm so
Yeah.
grateful you brought that up because such a little bit can go so far because it's so something that they're potentially not used to based on at least some of my experience with the men in my life as I
Exactly.
lean in and support and they're like, this is new. I'm like, how? Like,
Right.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that you're bringing that dynamic into their life and into business, but really into their life where they're like, well, that's what it feels like to be supported, seen, and to, let my gifts shine without being micromanaged. That's got to
Hmm.
feel really empowering for them too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really cool to
I love
watch.
it. I love it. So, you know what I also love about you is how you've reinvented yourself so many times, or you were like started out in marketing, me too.
Yep.
And then you moved into, the Spanish high school teacher. And then you were like, okay, now I want to own this construction company. And now you've got this incredible best-selling book and podcast and you're a speaker. Like, what does that process looked like with reinvention? Like, tell me more about that. Like, how do you navigate the pivoting that's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been some big pivots. People are like, wow, oh
I
my
love
gosh,
it.
like really?
Uh-huh.
And with me, I definitely see a pattern of following what my soul, like what lights my soul up at the time. And then when I like in marketing, I graduated college with a Spanish degree and a broadcast journalism degree. Thought I wanted to be the next Barbara Walters I'm from South Dakota. So I moved to Denver to do my internship. I found out you work like nights and weekends and make 20 grand. I was like, oh, okay. And,
Yep.
and then, 6 months later, the college bills are, the loan is coming due. I'm like, I just need a job. So
Mhm.
I was in this marketing company, worked there about 5, 6 years. And I, at that point, it was a really cool company and job, and I learned a ton. But
Yeah.
towards the end, it was really stressful. And I didn't feel like I was doing anything worthwhile, like that really mattered in the world. And so I was doing soul searching and was just like, what do I want to do? Right. And then I was like, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a Spanish teacher. And yes, I have the bachelor's degree. I had zero clue about teaching. So I actually quit that job and got my master's in education in order to be a teacher. So then I stepped into that for about 10 years and I really loved it until the last year. I was in a new school and there were just really some pretty major issues
Mhm.
and I was just super unhappy. My husband's like, "Oh my gosh," and it was seeping through all to my life, right? I'm coming home miserable, I'm cranky. That's just not how I live. I cannot function in that way. And so again, I was thinking, I need to move on. If I don't love this, I need to move on. And at this point, I was applying for just kind of random jobs. No
Mhm.
one called me. It was crickets. It was so discouraging.
Mhm.
And I was desperate though to move on. And so the only job I literally got offered was as an office manager for a different construction company. So
Mhm.
that I took it literally out of pure desperation
Mhm.
and got it, got into that, did not get trained well at all. Like, oh my gosh, I cried a lot,
Mhm.
but,
Mhm.
learned the hard way. And then, a few years later, when I started my company, I had learned a lot of those things that it wasn't the same scope, but I learned a lot of the things that go into what you have to do in construction. And so
Mhm.
that helps. So it's weird, I never would have planned really any of those things. If I looking back, I wouldn't have been, they're all
Mhm.
kind of surprising to me.
Mhm.
But I follow my gut, and when I'm not feeling fulfilled, I know I have to move on. Like I have to. I cannot live in that space. And so it's been kind of cool to see the twists and turns that life's taken me to,
Mhm.
and I never would have thought I'd be doing any of the things I'm doing today, but I love them and it lights me up, and I'm so grateful for everything I learned along the way.
It's so beautifully stated, and I resonate so much with all of that. Which, I'm curious too, as you were speaking, what does it feel like when you're tuning into your gut? Because I think sometimes people are like, I don't know what my intuition feels like. I don't know what it feels like to tune into my gut. Like, was there a certain sensation of like, this just isn't it, or this is definitely it that you could tune into?
Yeah, I feel like first would come the sensation of this is not it. I'm not happy to my core. I don't feel fulfilled, happy, right? And so then when I start getting that, I'm like, I got to
Mhm.
start looking at things. And it
Yeah.
is scary. I mean, there's so many people out there that, maybe are not happy in what they're doing right now. And they know they want something more, but they don't know what they want, right? And it's doing that deep soul searching and like trying to look at yourself and think, what lights me up? What makes me happy? What are my gifts? What are my talents? Right. And it's hard and it's scary to take that leap, but I I can't live a mediocre life. I just can't.
Mhm.
I have to feel alive and lit up and passionate about what I'm doing. And so, as scary as it is, it's like, are you willing to take that risk to maybe have greatness in your life, or are you going to stay stuck? Right. And at some point, you have to take the jump.
Mm. Ugh. I always say, like, just as you're saying that I'm not going to live in this mediocre life, I always say, like, we are writing our autobiography in real time.
Yes.
Like, how
Yes.
do you want this chapter to read? Do you
Hmm.
want it to read like the last nine, where maybe you were settling or it didn't feel right,
Yes.
the relationship or the job or whatever it is? Or do you want the plot twist where like your 90-year-old version of self is going to be reading your book, eating popcorn, like,
Yeah.
yes, let's go. Like she did it.
Yes.
Like, do you
Yes.
want the plot twist? So what I'm hearing is like, you felt like, oh, it's not it. And so you allowed yourself to do the plot twist to just get curious. And
Hmm.
I love that because you were like, I just started researching. I just started Googling stuff. I just started
Yeah.
applying places to test and learn. And I think that's a big part of it is like, we think we need to know the entire plan. And it's like, I
Yeah.
always say, like, follow the breadcrumbs and
Yes.
follow your body. Like, follow if it lights you up. So if like you were saying, where you were like, I mean, I took the office manager job and it didn't totally make sense, but it felt like the next step
Yeah.
and gave you some skill sets, I'm sure, that brought you
Yep.
into now owning your own construction business. And so I know that there was like a breadcrumb there that brought
Oh
you
yeah.
into it. And you
Yeah.
felt that, even though you're like, this will be a stepping stone. It's not it, it's
Yes.
a stepping stone. And so let yourself follow the breadcrumbs and the stepping stones and see where they take you. I think that's really
Exactly.
important. Yeah. So, is there any other advice you would give to someone who's like about to reinvent themselves and has like fear around it?
Hmm.
I'd love to know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really need to know and love yourself and have put in the work so you know what you need to feel, supported and good, right? Your habits matter, what you're doing, who you're spending your time around matters. And for me it's like if you think like if you want to be a speaker, let's just say, find people that are doing what you want to do on a really high level, like at the level you want, like your
Yeah.
wildest dreams, and
Uh-huh.
find them and get to know them and support them and take a class from them or go see them at an event or whatever. Connect with them and put yourself around those people. So it's not like, oh, I'm over here and they're over here. Now you're friends with them and you can see, they help you see the possibility. You know what I mean? So whatever it is you want to do, find the people that are doing what you want to do and that are really successful at it, or like I said, the level you want to be at, and get
Mhm.
to know them. And maybe
Yes.
you'll have a mentor. You can mutually support each other, that kind of stuff. I think that's so important. And that's just completely expanded my world by doing that, by putting myself around those people.
Absolutely. And what I think it does too is it almost takes them off the pedestal because you're like,
It
oh, this is
does.
a real person. Like
They
they're
are.
a
Yes.
real person with worries and fears. And they also are wondering if they're enough, but they're doing it anyways. And it's
Yep.
like, Wow, we're all on the same playing field. Like, and one of my mentors used to say, when you put someone on a pedestal, they'll immediately start looking down at you. It's like, so don't even create the energy dynamic. Like,
Yes.
just to think
Yeah.
like we're equals. Like, I'd love to
Yes.
support you and I'd love to learn from you. And so whether that looks like mentorship or something else,
Hmm.
I completely agree. Put yourself in those rooms, learn the trade, and then create it and make it your own. Because that's, I think, a big one
Absolutely.
too, where it's like, yes, follow maybe, a path that feels like it's in alignment, but make sure you're doing it on behalf of where your energy feels most aligned. Because the
Yes.
way they did it is unique to their energy versus the way you're meant to do it is going to be unique to yours, but it's just a blueprint that you're meant to say, what parts of this feel good? Let me bring
Yeah.
it in and have it feel good for me.
Absolutely. Like let them inspire you, but you need to be authentic or you can't
Yes.
fake that. I mean, people would
Yes.
would never gravitate towards you if you're not being authentic.
I completely agree. Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's wishy-washy and it's something you have to uphold. And then there's like incongruency, across the board if
Yes.
you're like one way here and then a different way in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
I love that. So I'm curious too, when we think about entrepreneurship, like
Mhm.
there's certain skills that you need to really succeed in that space. So I'm curious if there's like a certain mindset or if there's like different skills that you've really leaned into that has helped you the most with entrepreneurship. You talked about like morning routines and you talked about
Yeah.
little things like that. Are there things that come to mind when you think about what really supported you in this journey?
Mhm. I mean, entrepreneurship is hard. I say, well, like we're kind of a special kind of crazy, and it's true. I
Ah,
mean, let's
yeah.
have everything on the line and maybe or
Hmm.
maybe not pay ourselves. And then, I mean, it's
Right.
it's crazy, but it's also the most beautiful thing ever
Yeah.
to own your time and your schedule and your life. But I mean, you got to have the grit. You have to, you can't like have one bad thing happen or tough thing happen. You're like, well, I guess this isn't going to work. You got to be in it for the long game. This is not a short term thing. If you actually want to build a solid company and have success in any way. And, you can sometimes, like, for example, when business gets a little slow or something, get in the mindset like, or I start thinking, oh gosh, people don't like us, or oh, we're not doing a good job or whatever. I'm like, knock it off. Stop.
Mhm.
Because that is not helpful and it's not true. But
Mhm.
my head starts going there. And then lately I'm just like, nope, it's a little bit slower. This is the business. There are ebbs and flows in construction. I'm not going to wallow and like freak out every time it's a little slower. You know what I mean? And so that's when I, focus on reaching out to people or doing this and that to keep going. You got to keep going. You can't give
Mhm.
up and you can't, be so hard on yourself when things maybe aren't going your way. You're going to have a great day and then the next day you're going to have a tough day and you're going to be crying at your desk. Like it's like the ultimate bipolar experience truly, but you have to stay in a good mindset to keep going.
Yes.
I would say that's huge.
It's huge. And it really honestly affects business and success more than we'll ever know. Like,
Oh, totally.
and it's not about having exactly as you were saying, it's not about having perfect thoughts. It's about being like, huh, that's there. How can I move it? How can
Yeah.
I love on that part of myself that just wants to support other people and wants to amplify the business and wants to reach a certain level of success? How can I really show up for that version of me that's feeling fear versus
Yes.
making it wrong or versus, saying, oh, I have to have perfect thoughts or it's going to screw me over? It's no, not at all. Like,
Yeah.
we can have the imperfect thoughts. Like, we're human. We're going to have all the thoughts. And then it's
Exactly.
so important with what do we do with those? So I love that you spend the time to just notice where are the thoughts, are they working for me, and let me actually start to shift those. So is it
Yeah.
as simple as like an internal dialogue you have with yourself that helps you kind of shift those thoughts, or do you walk yourself through an exercise? Like, what does that look like?
It could be definitely an internal dialogue. I've been in business over 5 years now. And so those have come and gone throughout the years, right? But I now know those don't serve me and they're not true because every time I used to start having them, then the next week I'm slammed and it's like,
Mhm.
it's not true. So
Mhm.
just don't even give the power or energy to that. But also too, I now focus on feeling good. Like if I'm feeling in a funk, I'm like, okay, well, what am I doing? What have I been doing with my time or who have I been around or that kind of stuff. And I refocus on feeling good myself and being high vibrational and having, really supporting my energy and my mood. And that really helps me get back on track. And it's
Mhm.
like we all know when we are feeling good, we're aligned, then we're calling in, we're not blocking things with our negative energy, so I really do focus on that as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's like some proactive stuff going on. Like you're really
Mhm.
like ahead of it, like supporting yourself, loving on yourself, having the routines. And then also you're noticing when there's like some of the things that show up that aren't working for you. And then you have things to help you with the reactive part, which is like a pause, reflect, reframe.
Yeah.
So I love that that is coming through. And, speaking of ebbs and flows in business and things that will kind of take us to edges. So I know that, there was a moment in time where you were being sued for millions of dollars and it was like this 2.5 year long, like, lawsuit. Like,
Yeah.
share with us a little bit more about that and also how you got to the other side of that, because I
Mhm.
think that's going to be a really powerful catalyst for people to understand how you navigated that experience.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my 2.5 year lawsuit was literally the toughest thing I've ever been through. And I've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
But this was literally being attacked every day for two and a
Mhm.
half years, having the most ridiculous, untrue things said about you.
Mhm.
And it really was so heavy. And it was very difficult to wake up each day and be a mom and be a wife and run a company. And then you get another email from your lawyer
Mhm.
and you have to produce thousands of documents in like 2 days. And I mean, I can't tell you how much I cried. And I remember waking up covered in hives. My
Mhm.
kids were asking me, Mommy, when are we losing our house?
Oof.
I remember one morning I walked downstairs and I was just so low and I was struggling so badly. And I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. I was the lowest I've ever been. And I remember walking downstairs. My family must have been on a weekend. They were still sleeping. And I texted a girlfriend who's a therapist and I just said, I need help. I'm not okay. And and I said, I don't have any money right now. Like we had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and it was so hard. And she's like, honey, I got you. Like I mean, she charged me like $20 for like 5 sessions or something. I mean,
Mhm.
she literally, I needed that so bad. And we can't, like as women, I think we always like try to shoulder all this and be the strong one. And I didn't want to be the strong one anymore. I couldn't, it was so heavy
Mhm.
that I just was at a breaking point. And I'm so grateful for her and knowing that I was so low that I reached out to her because
Mhm.
that really helped me. And, you know, the end December of what 23
Mhm.
was when we would have gone to trial, but my lawyer's like, you're going to pay another 300 grand just for that. And then you're at the mercy of a jury and all this. And, you know, as horrible as it was, it's like all these things were said about me. And I'm like, well, the legal system is pretty messed up. And it's like, well, okay, this was said about, alleged. Here's the evidence to prove that's not true. Okay, this was said. Here's my evidence. Like I had evidence for it all. I'm like, this is a bunch of lies. And
Uh,
I never in 2.5 years got in front of anyone in the legal system to get anything thrown out. So I just
mhm.
wasted all of this money and time and my energy and my life.
Mhm.
And so we decided to just write another huge fat check to settle and
Mhm.
just, not saying there's zero liability, any of that, but I'm done. Like I'm literally writing you this huge check to be like, leave me alone. I'm so
Mhm.
done with this. I cannot take this into another year and,
Mhm.
and to walk away. And honestly, the 2024, I walked into kind of having a chip on my shoulder a little bit. It's like I've been victimized and attacked and saying I wrote in my book like this I see or I know with my whole being like this is just the beginning, like watch me freaking go, like
Mhm.
I am out. And I not like I wake up every day trying to like spite that person, but I'm like I'm sick of being attacked or violated or feeling powerless. Like I got my power back, like let's freaking go, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Mm. So I feel like with every single thing that happens in life, the most devastating things that happen, it is a catalyst for us to step
Yes,
fully into our power. And
totally.
that's what I'm hearing you say. Like even the most difficult moments that have us question, do I even want to be here? I've been
Mm-hmm.
in those moments too, where I'm like, gosh, I don't even know. And it was like, but that's when I asked for help. And I just really want to highlight that is that when you had that thought or that moment, you were like, I gotta share this with someone.
Yeah.
Because I did that similar thing where I was like, I'm gonna share this with my partner. I'm gonna share this with my healer because I need to start to move that energy. It's all consuming right now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
support of that woman that stepped in and was like, I've got you,
Hmm.
like angel on earth right there.
Truly.
And we
Yes.
need, but sometimes these angels on earth, they need us to raise our hand and say, like, hey, I need a little help here. And they're like,
Yeah.
yes, I've got you, you know? And so just that deep reminder of no matter how difficult any situation is that you're moving through, please raise your hand and ask for support because I
Yes.
guarantee if you are tuning into this podcast, you are the strong one. You are the one that is like
Mhm.
consistently showing up for everyone else. And I am like from the bottom of my soul asking that you raise your hand and have people check on you too. Because
Yes.
I feel like so often the strong ones are like, hello, like, is anyone checking on me? And
Yeah.
people just assume we've got it, right? Because we're the strong ones, the happy ones, the morning routine ones, that, and we need to just raise our hands. And the second that we do, those people will be there, right?
For
And if they're
sure.
not, find new people, right? Super important.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm so grateful that you brought that up and that that is behind you, that that was just a catalyst to you fully stepping into your power and saying like,
Yep.
let's freaking go. And I love too. So was that a part of your book? Share with us more about that process of like writing the book and the stories in that space and how it's going to
Yeah.
be such a, how it is such a catalyst for the, I'm assuming woman or man. I don't know if it's made for a woman to read, like, but for the
Yeah.
person that's tuning in that will receive from that space.
Yeah, I did that lawsuit stories in there. It's the longest chapter because I wrote that throughout. That was my book was done. And I said to my publisher, I'm like, I can't publish this until this lawsuit is done because I need to write about it and I need it to have a conclusion. And so literally that chapter is the longest one. I kept really using it as a journal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, through that. But my book is really just a collection of short stories, just from different things I've gone through in life. Some are lighter, motherhood, business, just fun stories, and some are really traumatic of things that, trauma that happened to me like over 20 years ago, and I didn't tell anyone, and
Mm-hmm.
different things. And with this book, it really finally getting the good, the bad, the ugly out into the world. I can show up as my actual free, authentic version of myself. And I can't tell you how it was so healing to write, to finally get some of this trauma and things out, right, into the
Yeah.
world. Like I'm not hiding anymore. I'm now, this is me, the good, the bad, the ugly, my
Mhm.
beautifully imperfect self.
Mhm.
And, it was such a powerful thing to do. And I feel like since it came out on Valentine's Day of 2024. And
Mm.
honestly, I have shown up so differently in the world since then. It's like it cracked me open and I just show up differently now. I really do. And it's so powerful.
Mm. Yes. There's so much there. Like you just showing up unapologetically as you, and it's almost like popping the lid off and being like, this
It
is
is.
me. You
Yeah.
know, like this is 100% me. And it's so true. Like someone just recently said, the things that we find most vulnerable are actually the most universal. Now,
Yes.
the different nuances are different for everyone,
Hmm.
but like the devastation, the sadness, like the moments in time that we're like, I'm the only one going through this. It's like, those are actually the most universal things. And when we can share those, it's so connecting for other people. It has them realize that they're not alone in it and
Yeah.
has them, yeah, recognize that there can be, beautiful, healthy outlets to process their own experience of trauma or lighthearted parts in life, just letting all of you be seen. So I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. And I think, this is like by my speaking and my podcast and my book, it's giving people in general and women specifically permission slips to own your past, heal yourself. Don't why are we dealing in shame and guilt over things? We need to heal ourselves. But, women keep saying like you're saying what I'm feeling and I feel so alone and I don't feel like anyone else is thinking or feeling this and you say it. Like I'm saying
Mhm.
the things that people don't want to say. And
Yes.
because I see there's so much power in that, it's like, I am a freaking hot mess. Like, I'm ridiculous and I love it. Like, bring it
Mhm.
on.
Mhm.
And who else wants to come hang out with me? I mean, that's just
Yes.
how I am. And it's like, you find your real tribe by doing that. You find your real connection. You can actually be seen and heard fully when you finally like cut the crap and just show
Mhm.
up. Like,
Mhm.
this is who I am.
Yes. Yes. And when we start to accept ourselves fully as our freest expression of self, we attract in the people that love that and accept the freest
Yes.
version of self. Like it's so
Yep.
interesting how when we stop being a chameleon, all of a sudden our people show up, our tribe shows
Yes.
up.
Yes.
They love that about ourselves. And I think that's so beautiful. And then we celebrate that in them because we can celebrate it within ourselves. So
Yep.
I love it. Where can the woman find, or the man, find this book? Like, share with us more about all the details of the book. So, someone who's tuning in, I know that there are people tuning in that are like, I need this book.
It's called Real Vibes Only: Unapologetic Confessions of a Hot Mess Mompreneur. So it's
Nice.
like all the juicy, crazy stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I definitely swear a lot in it. So,
Mm.
but I was like, that's me. And I'm just gonna write these stories, coming from my heart.
Yeah.
But you can find it on Amazon. And then, or yeah, Amazon is the best way, or my website is chelseahusam.com.
Beautiful. I love this. And I'd love to talk to you about, you're a mama to two incredible boys, sons. I guess you could say they've
Yep.
grown up now, although they're still in your home. So they're still like,
Yes.
in your eyes, like your babies
Hmm.
in some ways.
Yes.
How do you balance your work life, being a mom, all the things that come that you're kind of holding on your plate? How do you
Mhm.
balance all of that?
Yeah, I mean it's not perfect, but again, I'm not striving for perfection. I try to do my best and I don't beat myself up over it. I work really hard when they're at school and I bust it out. I don't work 80 hours a week, not even close. I probably don't work 40. I just work really hard in little spurts. But
Yes.
I try to, when they're home, like I try not to be working or whatever, but also I am the only person that like does everything in the company minus my employees on a job site. So I don't have an employee, like if I go on vacation, I'm still working. Like we were in Mexico or Florida, or I went to Italy for 10 days when I turned 40, and I still run the company from wherever I go. And I don't sit there and work the whole time. Again, I work in little spurts and then I go enjoy my time. So I've learned how to fit it into my life. Or I'll take my boys skiing and then we go back to the hotel and they swim and I work. I try to show them, I try not to let it flow as much as possible into into the time with them. But,
Mhm.
I want them to see a strong woman and I want them to know I built something and I work really hard. And so like in our town, we live in a suburb of Denver, and I helped build the hospital. I helped build the library, the new library. And I love driving around, or Denver International Airport. I'm like, boys, mommy helped build this. Like I
Mhm.
want them to see and be proud of it. Like mom's company helped build where we live our lives, right? And so
Mm.
I don't want to just hide it from them. Or,
Yeah.
or we go check my PO box together and they're like, "Mommy, did we get a big check today?" I'm like, "Oh, it's
So
like
cute.
$3,000." Or it's like, "Oh, it's $20,000 today, mom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a good one." And
Yes.
so it's like
That's
I try
sweet.
to kind of talk to them,
Mhm.
about some of the different things, and because I think it's important for them to see.
I totally agree. Yeah. And oh, that is so beautiful that you're weaving the two together. You're not
Hmm.
making it separate. You're not making, when mommy's at work, she's not talking to, she's not like
Yeah,
letting it we like what I'm hearing is this, it's a dance. Like you're just
it
allowing
totally
all of
is.
it to
Yeah.
just weave together, and you're showing your boys what's possible when, they lean into something that lights them up. And I think that's so beautiful. So I'm so grateful for your wisdom, for all of the just beauty that you brought into the space, for all of these different pockets and places that you play in, that you share
Mhm.
your unapologetic truth. I mean, it's so calming for people's nervous systems when they know where you stand, versus like say one thing, do the other. Like
Oh
for
yeah.
us, even if we don't agree, it's calming to know that we know where someone stands. And I just love, 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 love everything that you brought up today. It's so empowering for women to just live their most authentic, unencumbered life. Like just be you, and you will attract those that love you exactly as you are, and give yourself permission to reinvent yourself. And I love
Thank you.
that that came through. So thank you so much. I'm positive that everyone tuning in is going to want more of you. So where are you hanging out? Where can they start to tune into more of what you've got out there?
Yeah, I probably hang out most on Instagram. So it's just Chelsea, Chelsea, Husum, Husum. I post way more there, and just a bunch of random stuff. So you'll get a glimpse into my life.
Love it.
Yeah, and my website, chelseahusam.com, and that's probably the best places.
I love it. And share with them quick about your podcast too, because if they're
Oh
tuning
yeah.
into this, then they'll probably want to tune into that one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you were on my podcast. You'll be coming
Yeah.
out soon. So thank you again for that. My podcast is called Lip Service and Lashes.
Mhm.
And I do solo episodes and then I have awesome guests like Christina here on it. And really it's just to share. I want it when I have a guest, I want it to feel like you're on the couch chatting with your bestie and we're just like vibing and just chatting and talking about all the real stuff.
Yeah.
I always like to ask about mom fails or like weird
Mhm.
stuff,
Yeah.
because like, why don't we just make that commonplace,
Yes.
and laugh about it? And yeah, it's kind of just whatever is on my brain. I talk about business, life, motherhood, like
Mhm.
advocating for my son who has dyslexia, like all the things, whatever I'm riled up about. That's the beauty of a podcast is I get to just go on and ramble about it. And so,
Nice.
yeah, it's been really fun. I never knew how much I would love it.
Yeah. And I loved being a guest in the space and the conversations that you lead. They're so real and unapologetic. And it does feel like it's just like two friends sitting down on a couch, just
Yes.
like having a real conversation. That's the vibe. Like if you're
Yes. And
looking
that's what I
for
want. Yeah.
exactly like two
Yeah.
friends, but also like with an empowering spin, right?
For
Whereas that's
sure.
like two people talking shit for like an hour. Like it's like
Yeah.
let's like talk about like ways we failed and then how we got through it.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Chelsea, thank you so much. This was
Oh,
amazing.
thank
I'm so
you.
grateful for you. This was just so beautiful. And I am so grateful for all of the beautiful souls that tuned in today that received some of your magic. So, for everyone that tuned in, thank you so much for your most precious resource, your time. We're so grateful for you. And until next time.